Don't you know that you are the temple of the Holy Ghost? Don't you know that you are the temple of God? Don't you know that you are the temple of the Holy Ghost? Don't you know that you are the temple of God?
When I turned 18, and then I could start attending the main church because I was not a teenager anymore.
Can I just say, I never attended Sunday school. I ran away from that
Really?
thing.
We didn't have a choice. They'll come and be like, sorry sister, please. You didn't have a choice.
I literally dodged that. Like, anyway,
I feel you.
let's I skipped the stage. Anyway,
but
sorry.
but that's good.
No, it's not good.
Is it?
I don't think it's good. Like, there was something that, I don't know, it's besides the point,
Yeah,
but
okay.
anyway, yeah.
So, with 18, okay, so went again throughout life, boring, got my matric. Oh, so happy when I got my matric. Parents were happy. My dad woke up like early in the morning to go get newspapers. Oh, amazing feeling. And then it was time for me. So my mom did not want me to do university in Joburg because, again, grew up in Joburg, had way too many friends, and she knew I was not going to study. I literally have friends everywhere. Imagine, I mean, you know how life is. You grew up in Joburg, went to school in Joburg, you have competition everywhere, you make friends everywhere. She's like, no, you're not going to study, you go somewhere else. So I applied to Cape Town, I applied to UKZN as well. And then she wanted Cape Town, so I went to Cape Town. And I remember when I got there, I was like, am I going to be here by myself? She's like, yeah. So she stayed for a week with me, and then I continued with life. And unfortunately, my life as a university student was lacking spiritually.
Okay.
It was lacking so badly to the point where I was getting attacks. My academics were getting attacks. And obviously at that time I did not know it was an attack.
Okay, so what was it?
So it got to a point where I'll go in class, listen to everything they say, write it down. By the time I go to my room, everything's forgotten.
Sure.
And then that's when also the spirit of procrastination started coming up. The spirit of laziness started coming up. So this is somebody who never used to procrastinate because I had to do things to make sure that I had enough time because I used to love watching TV. So I used to make sure that I did everything enough, quick enough, and then I had to finish everything for me to have enough time to watch TV.
Okay.
But then I got there and then I started procrastinating about everything.
Sure.
Everything. Started getting lazy. What else? But then again, at that time, I didn't think it was anything serious. Yeah. I just thought, I was just tired, or it's just like a young thing, type of thing. So yeah, first year, second year, went through life like that as well, procrastinating, being lazy, and then I think my third year of law, that's when I was really, really struggling. Because I was not coping, because third year of law got harder. So in other universities, it's second year of law that gets harder. With our university, it was third year of law.
Okay.
And I was not coping. And I remember calling mom and I'm like, I don't think I can do this law thing anymore. I want to quit. I'm not coping. I'm not remembering anything. And then again, because I was procrastinating studying, I was not studying.
Sure.
So I was failing.
Oh my goodness.
And I told her I'm actually failing. Like, I literally wrote a test and I came on and I got 30% for the test. I have no idea where I went wrong. And then the time when I got scared was actually, I remember I was serious about this. Not even serious, it was actually one of my favorite subjects. And I studied for it so well. I remember I was so confident. Went in there and the paper looked different to me. It's almost like the questions that were written in there, I've never seen words like that before. And I remember trying to think about what to write. And because I didn't want to give an empty paper, I just wrote gibberish.
Sure.
I just wrote nonsense and I gave it in. And I actually remember the professor called me in and it's like, what's happening? I don't understand. This is not you. What's happening? And I'm like, I don't know. That you do not study. I'm like, I study. He's like, this is not somebody who studied. You were not supposed to write like this. Why did you write it? I'm like, if I could tell you what happened, I would, but I don't know what happened. And that's when I called him and I'm like, hey, maybe I need to change career path and whatever, and she asked me what's happening, and I explained to her and everything. And at that time, I don't think anyone related this to a spiritual problem. And then my mom was like, "Oh, why don't you call your youth pastor?" Because I used to love my youth pastor. It was very understanding man, very loving, and it took time. Like, he had everybody's number. That's how cool he was. So I called him and I explained to him what happened, and he's like, "Have you ever tried to pray against any of these things happening?" And I'm like, "No, really, because I never thought it was a spiritual thing." He's like, "Anna, you should pray." And I'm like, "What should I say?" Because I stopped praying, I stopped reading the Bible, I stopped listening to gospel music. I was literally in the world.
So you stopped doing this before university?
No, when I got to university. Okay. So at the same time, because my parents were not there to watch over me, so I could literally watch whatever I wanted. I could listen to whatever I wanted. If I didn't want to go to church, I won't go to church. And that became a problem because every Sunday I did not attend church. Every Wednesday evening when we had church, I did not attend. I was literally just a human being. That's it.
Yeah.
Spiritual life dead. That was just me. And then when we spoke, and I remember I was crying, I'm like, "I need help." And he's like, "Nobody can help you until you pray to God. He will not help you until you ask him to help you."
Yeah.
He can see you are struggling and he's feeling the hurt that you're feeling. But if you do not get on your knees and ask him to forgive you and turn your ways and ask him for help, you will not get it. And again, at that time, I was like, "What is this man talking about?" I just need some miracle for my marks to get better so I can continue.
A quick solution.
And then I fell out of love with what I was studying. I hated it. And I told Mom, "I'm changing subjects. I don't know what you want." I was living in the world. Oh, it was so bad. Started drinking. I've never touched alcohol in my life, but I started drinking.
Wow.
So I feel like that's the reason why I even tell the twins. I feel like universities are spirits.
Yep.
And if you're not strong spiritually, when you go in there, you will get into it. Whatever it is that you're doing, you will get into it.
Sure.
And it's not peer pressure.
Yeah.
It is something else.
Sure.
Because almost like this, because if you look at me that was in Joburg and then you look at my life when I got to Cape Town, it looks like two different people.
Sure.
So if you're even to tell my mom this was my life in Cape Town, she would never believe it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, why would Anna, this is Anna who doesn't like going out, eh? But when I was in Cape Town at that time, Anna would go out anytime she wants. Clubbing, drinking, again, because I used to love dancing. My friends would always be like, "Anna, let's go dance." I'm like, "Yeah."
You must dance for me one day. Stop it.
So I was really into the world, hey. I did everything. And then
sorry.
Yeah.
While you were in there, was there anything inside of you that was like, "Anna, this is not you," or "What are you doing?" or was it just like you were able to shut that voice out and just enjoy yourself and be like, and okay, I'm asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Do you also feel like at this point, if maybe you had died, do you think, are you a believer that salvation can be lost? You know what I mean? Like, do you feel at that point you were in a position to inherit, like to go to heaven?
Yeah.
Or do you think you would have gone to hell, if you had died at that point? Because obviously it's God's grace that you didn't die there. Woo. And you're here now and you're in a better space with God. But yeah, those are the two questions.
Two questions, yeah. Now that I think about it, I think I was able to shut that spiritual side out, eh? Because if I was not able to, then I would have actually stopped eventually. But I didn't stop until a certain time. So okay, I'll get to that later. But I was able to shut that side out to the point where even when people will talk about the funny thing is, when I come to Joburg, I go to church. Because the whole family goes to church.
Okay.
But when I'm in Cape Town, I didn't used to go to church, and then and I didn't see anything wrong with that.
Okay.
I thought it was normal. I was like, okay, I do whatever the family wants, and then when I'm by myself, I do what I want.
Okay.
Which is not being a Christian, pretty much.
Yeah.
But funny enough, when people ask me, "Are you Christian?" I'll be like, "Yes, I am a Christian."
Yeah.
And I'll always pray to not ask me anything from the Bible because I do not know anything.
Wow, okay.
Anything. And my Bible knowledge was so bad.
Sure.
I knew nothing about the Bible. Unless it was something that we probably recited when we were in youth choir or youth whatever. But at that point I knew nothing. But that's pretty much it. And then the second question, I don't think salvation can be lost.
Okay.
I think that God being God and knowing our lives before we know what's gonna happen, I think He knows that at one point we are gonna go astray, because He has given us a will to either go left or right.
Okay.
And He does know that at one point as human beings we will wanna go and see what's happening on the other side.
Okay.
But then He always waits for us to come back. He doesn't think to himself, oh no, she's gone on the other side, let her be there, let her die, let her do whatever she wants. No, He waits for you. And I think that's the reason why the Bible says that He's long suffering, He's patient. Not even realize, my most favorite verse in the Bible is the one that talks about Him losing one sheep out of the 100 sheep. So He's got 99 other sheep, but then there's one sheep that has gone missing. Yeah. But He will still go out and find that one sheep and bring it back. And I'm like, this is me.
Yeah.
He probably had a whole generation of youth, of young people that was praising and worshiping Him and giving Him all the glory. But then there was Anna that was living life like a fool.
Yeah.
Thinking that tomorrow is guaranteed.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is never guaranteed.
Because that's also the risk. That's why I'm asking, because I think in a different world, I mean, you had parents probably that were praying for you,
yes,
right? And
yes.
I think that's maybe a large factor to what sustained you. Because I know there's some people who are Christians, right? Like what you're saying, they're Christians, they identify as Christians, but then they're not living as Christians. Then the question is, were you ever actually saved? Or when you were saying you weren't living for God, so you were actually saved, but I think transformation didn't necessarily take place, or you weren't active or you weren't intentional in your journey with God for a certain period of time. And maybe we can refer to that as being backslidden, I don't know, but it's hard because you never really progressed forward to go backwards, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you were still in your old self, but then a new creature just still behaving as her old self, and your journey just looked a bit different to where you kind of worked things out eventually, or you got to a certain point where you kind of realized that I actually need this God.
I don't think I activated that spiritual side. And it's, again, I feel like I did all this for the wrong reasons.
Okay.
I did it because other people were doing it. I did it because people were talking about it. I did it because it was never something that my soul convicted me to do or I was led to do. So in a way, even when I did the whole water baptism thing, that's the reason why I did not expect anything, because I did not understand what was supposed to happen afterwards. So I just did it because we were told, if you have to do this, you have to do this, and then. So I won't say that I backslid, because I never really.
You never went forward.
I never went forward. I'm trying to remember if there was a time or a year maybe I did decide to. I think there was a time. I remember. I think it was in 2012.
Okay.
I don't know what happened, but I told myself I need to go back to Christ and live my life properly again. And that made me join back the choir. Now this is obviously the normal choir, not the youth choir.
Okay.
And then I joined back the choir, and everything was running smoothly. And at that time, my cousin was the one that introduced me to my first and only boyfriend. My goodness.
Oh, okay.
When I decided to go back, how the devil is at work.
Right. He was working overtime. It's like, oh, you're back.
You know.
I'm gonna give you a boyfriend now.
So I went back, and then I started living for Christ again. I think I started falling in love with him at one point. And I attended church every time, and then we had on campus there was this prayer group.
Okay.
And I actually attended it.
Oh.
I've never attended I remember why. So I had this girl that used to invite me all the time, and I never really attended. I'm like, hey, what am I gonna do there? And then eventually, when she did actually, she invited me again, and then I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll come and see what you guys are doing. And I went there the first time, and then I actually enjoyed it.
Okay.
And I went back, and I went back, and I went back, and then became a normal thing where I think it was every Wednesday we'll meet and stuff. But then I was going to church, even in Cape Town I was going to church. I'll come back in Joburg and I'll go to church, and I was in the choir and everything. So everything was fine.
So did your friends change, or you still maintain the same friends?
I maintained the same friends.
Okay.
But at the same time, I don't know how I was able to juggle the whole. I don't know how, but then my life just went smoothly at that time. At that period of time, my life was smooth. And then I don't know what happened, and then I stopped.
Okay, but were you still studying law?
I was still studying law.
And things got better.
I think that was second year.
Okay.
That was second year, and things got better. And then I stopped.
Oh, then third year came.
And then third year came.
Drowning.
And I'm guessing because I stopped whatever I was doing spiritually, third year was difficult.
Okay.
And
then you dropped your major? You dropped law?
I didn't want to drop it. I wanted to change.
Okay.
And I heard BA was easier than law. So I'm like, okay, let me do BA, which is a lie.
We always used to say...
The amount of reading in BA, I feel like they need to write, terms and conditions. The amount of reading that happens in the BA degree is madness. Anyway. So I spoke to mom, and I think that was in 2013. Yeah. So I spoke to mom in 2013, so which means I would change it for 2014. Okay. And she agreed and everything. And then she didn't want to tell my dad, because then my dad always wanted me to be a lawyer. Aww. And then she didn't want us to frustrate him or anything. So we didn't tell him for the longest of time until I was able to transfer everything and then change my my degree altogether to BA.
Okay, so for you to even start studying law was because of your dad. Just like even going into worship, but you felt like he led you in the right direction.
Yes.
And even with law, you mentioned that you lost your love for it. So you did actually love it, or did you love the idea of doing what your dad wanted you to do?
I love the idea of... Because my dad was so proud of his daughter studying law.
Sure.
To the point where he'd be like, oh, my daughter's a lawyer. My daughter, it was one of those things. I'm like, oh, okay, let me study.
Yeah.
My passion from the start has always been international relations.
Okay.
Anything that has to do with the international world, I've always been in love with it, because I'm actually very, very interested. So even now, I'll put CNN. I just go through every channel to see because what's going on, and I feel like every channel, every news channel from every country has a different position. So I watch all that. I've always been interested in the international world. So that was actually my first passion.
And you knew this when you started with law?
I knew this.
And you knew this when you chose Bachelor of Arts?
Yeah.
So what was Bachelor of Arts?
So Bachelor of Arts, I took political science.
Okay.
And I love political science.
Okay.
Because it leads into international.
Okay.
So I took political science, I took sociology, and I took, what was my third one? French.
Okay.
And I took French as well. So one language, political science, and then sociology. And then I had my minors, philosophy and everything else. So that was 2015. So 2015, I'm going in with new mindset. I'm thinking new person, because I've changed careers, I've changed degrees. So I'm happy, I'm excited, because this is what I've always wanted. So I'm doing well in it. And then and in 2014,
second year of this. Oh, first year.
First year of the new degree.
Yes.
So in 2014, my dad got sick, and this time it was bad. It was bad to the point where it was like, he needs to be admitted. So the story that my mom told me was I think they were coming back from shopping, and then they were passing by Waverly Girls, and then he told my mom something. I can't remember what she said. Either he felt something was wrong or something like that happened, and he told my mom, we need to go to the hospital. And she's like, why? We just came back from shopping. Let's just go finish whatever we need to finish in Norwood and then come back home. He's like, no, take me to the hospital. And then my mom was like, he just started convulsing, vomiting, everything. And I don't know how, but he was able to stop the car, and then my mom moved him, and then she came, and then she drove them straight to Netcare, Linksfield.
Mm.
And then when they got there, they put him in, and then I think so they tried to help him, they tried to do whatever they could, but then they couldn't, and then he got into a coma.
Sure.
So when my mom called me, she's like, "Oh, your dad got sick," and I'm thinking, it's probably the same thing, so it's not that bad. And then she's like, "No, this time it's bad because he's actually in the hospital." And I'm like, "When is he coming out?" She's like, "We don't know. Hopefully by next week everything will be okay, you know." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." And I didn't take it seriously again.
Sure.
And I called again. I'm like, I think 2 days later, I'm like, "So what's happening? You're not telling me anything." She's like, "No, you're far away. I don't want to stress you." I'm like, "Can you tell me what's happening?" And she's like, "No, I feel like he's gonna be okay. He just needs time to to get over himself because he went through some attack, but he will be okay." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And she's like, "But continue praying." And I'm like, how bad is it?" She's like, "Pray. If you have to fast." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Anna has never fasted before. I've tried fasting, fasting when the church fasts. That was funny. Like, I know with 21 days, I think I think back in the days, the most I'll do of 21 days is 3 days.
It's still days.
Yeah.
Come on.
3 days. And then when we'll have whatever, maybe the 7-day fast, I'll be like, it's not that important, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But then this time she's like, "No, fast and pray." So I was like, "Okay, cool." So at that point, I don't know what happened, but I think it was out of urgency, out of emergency. Literally dropped everything I was doing in the world, and I literally focused on God.
Okay.
But again, it was out of urgency.
Yeah.
It wasn't out of me coming to ask for forgiveness and take me back. It was out of, "God, I need you to do this now, do it." So I fasted, prayed, everything.